Hey, we love Burger King grilled dogs. They're made with 100% beef, and they're 100%. They're so good they make us want to sing like. I can't believe it. Burger King made a grilled dog, made with 100% beef, flame grilled anytime you want.
July 23rd is the most important holiday of the year, National Hot Dog Day. Celebrate by going to Burger King and asking for the $1 Classic Grilled Dog deal. How else you gonna celebrate? Try the $1 Classic Grilled Dog only at Burger King. At participating restaurants, July 23rd, limit 5 per transaction while supplies last.
Blog Talk Radio.
Legs on the board. For real.
I heard Scully be patient. Mama said be a doctor. Showed I ain't had
all my life I heard Scully be humble. Marco be patient.
Been telling y'all niggas, man.
Niggas get your education. Dreams are way too big, there ain't no way that you can chase them. I did too. Fuck you, you hating all our life we heard. Scully be humble. Marco be patient.
Let's get it.
But then you better pimp some niggas. Get your education.
Let's get it.
Dreams are way too big, there ain't no way that you can chase them. I did too. Fuck you, hating all our life we heard.
I heard Scully be humble. I heard Scully be patient. Mama said be a doctor. Told her I ain't had patience. Going hard in my basement was not a method of payment. And since my peers wanna do it, they said find a replacement. But I told her I'm better. She said what make you different from all these niggas that spittin' by how expensive they living. How they whip working kitchens. First off, I'm realer than bitches. Pondy if Scully the realest. Was Popeye strong off that spinach? Roll spinach gone in the instant. Paint cut deep, no incision. To say fuck a meal is my mission. So a nigga rush the bar, no division. Killing these niggas my tendency. Most of these niggas my enemies. Fuck it, these niggas my mini-me. Cause Scully is what they pretend to be. And it seems to be that you need to stop gobbling my dick and sucking my penis. Young nigga fly, way past Venus. So go fly, nigga strapped on Venus. Genius, niggas unreligious. Asking God for forgiveness. He told me follow my vision and work it out.
All
And
my
they
life I heard Scully be humble. Marco be patient. But then you better pencil, nigga, get your education. Dreams are way too big, there ain't no way that you could chase them. I did too. Fuck you if you hating all our life we heard Scully be humble. Marco be patient. But then you better pencil, nigga, get your education. Dreams are way too big, there ain't no way that you could chase them. I did too. Fuck you if you hating all our life we heard.
Gotta go through the struggle, the hustle shows when you make it. Lord knows you've been patient, see I've been dealing with Satan. Heartbreak, stomach aching became a normal occasion. Plus some crackers think we animals that need to be caged in. But we won't quit so they commit genocide till we changing. See these methods so ancient, these white walls got us caved in. Moved the rocks like we came in since we were boys that became men. Whoa, don't Blanco mean white, so why you signing so racist? Surrounded in this white nation, know your spot, no Dalmatian. For all my niggas, stay loyal. Watch out for rats out here snaking. Mama said be a lawyer, but see I hate fighting cases. Caucasians see it as a thought, so the White House I'm gon' break in. Fuck the game, I'm gon' rape it, tape it, then mail it to agents. Force them to go hit my ladies. It's like my flow educating. They gon' love it or hate it. You can't debate who the greatest, but when they think you the greatest, you die in LA, you
all
fake
my
it.
life I heard Scully be humble. Marco be patient. But then you better pencil, nigga, get your education. Dreams are way too big, there ain't no way that you could chase them. I did too. Fuck you if you hating all our life we heard Scully be humble. Marco be patient. But then you better pencil, nigga, get your education. Dreams are way too big, there ain't no way that you could chase them. I did too. Fuck you if you hating all our life we heard.
In the street, all I know is that first you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has been.
What's going on? What's going on, people of the world in Black America? We're back. It's Saturday. This is your host, Rasta B. Today's topic we will be discussing is how can black people use black power correctly? The guest calling number 646-716-4654. And this is Black America Radio. And what we're basically speaking on today is with the climate and the energy that's going on right now and the unity that we see amongst black people, whether it's protesting, whether it's speaking out, whether it's using our money and pulling it together and putting it into black banks or supporting black businesses. So with this momentum, I should say, that's going on in society, in Black America, what can we do to keep it going? And what are the things that we should be doing currently correctly to make this movement not only work this year and hopefully next year, but becomes a continuous practice in our everyday lives. But before I continue, let me go ahead and bring my co-host Smoke in. Smoke, are you there?
Yeah, what's good, boy?
Nothing, man. What's good with you?
You know, big Saturday, man. Rainy outside. Been rainy all day. But you know, another day living. You know what I'm saying?
True. Yeah, man. We didn't get that much rain out here in the GA. Well, not in my part of town. I know some parts. I think that's called like scattered rain. So we didn't get. We probably get some later on tonight. I heard some thunder. So you know, that's what's going on with that. But yeah. Other than that, everything cool. Everything irie. Yeah.
Can't complain.
Yes, that's always a good thing. Yeah, man. So the topic, you know what I'm saying? It's how can we use Black Power correctly as Black people? You know what I'm saying? I know you have one of those Amos Wilson books. Which one do you have?
Amos Wilson? I think I got the Black Child one. I think I got that one. I think that's the only Amos Wilson I got.
Oh, you said you got the Black Child one.
Intelligent Black Child or something like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I would suggest people to get the Blueprint to Black Power from Amos Wilson.
Yeah, I don't
know. That's a good book. Yeah, I think that's a good book. Yeah, man, but I like the climate, and I knew, unfortunately, is what was going to happen. Sometimes, like historically, when it comes to Black people, sometimes we need fire lit up under us to get moving. You know what I'm saying? Because unfortunately, Killer Mike couldn't get Black people to move their money into Black banks if the climate wasn't what it is now.
Yeah, that's right.
So you agree?
No, I mean, that's real. I mean, you might have had like a small populace of people that might have done it, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, like you said, sometimes you need that heat. You know, you see it with, like, kind of with Trump, too. Like, Trump is the heat, and you see the people like, no, we don't want that. Let's band together. Let's make sure we do whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. Man, I don't know why you bring up Trump. You know, every time you bring up Trump, man, I got to bring up my whole thing of why I'm saying he's going to win. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna try to keep it easy, you know what I'm saying, be easy with it. I ran across a story I wanted to bring up though that I thought was very interesting. The title: The Silence of African Leaders to the Oppression of Black People. So let me open it up. It's an interesting piece, I will say that. Okay. Because I know it's a video, so I don't want the video to cut on. All right. So it says, the past few weeks has been mentally depressing and draining due to the recent killing of black men at the hand of law enforcement officers. What we have seen in Dallas is the manifestation of anger deeply rooted in the relationship between the police and African American communities. And what we saw in Dallas was a black man stand up. So that's what he's referring to. But killing police officers does not create a more positive environment or signal progress. It is not right, and only truthful dialogue can engender a more positive and stronger relationship. The recognition of a broken system by people across the spectrum has led to the phenomenal slogan, Black Lives Matter, and the development of the accompanying movement. As the conversation regarding discrimination, injustice, and racism spread around the world, I can't help but notice the absence and silence of African leaders. On my web talk show, the Abdullah Jalloh Show, ABDULAIJALLOH Show, we largely focus on social issues, and to me, there isn't a more pressing issue than that of the oppression of black people right now. So he goes on by saying, throughout my travels around the United States, I have never met an African-American man or woman who isn't proud of their African heritage. With such pride comes the acknowledgement that Africa is their ancestral home. The history of the continent tells us of great civilization and cultures with kings and queens, strong and striving communities with successful farmers, engineers, architects, and merchants. There was a time not too long ago when black people around the world recognized their shared traits and cultures and actually tried to unify the black race for the greater good of humanity. The fight to free African countries was seen by black activists around the world as the starting point to free black people everywhere. Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. traveled to Ghana for the inaugural celebration of the country's independence, and they stood with the people of South Africa during apartheid. They began a tradition of bringing much-needed attention to the struggles of Africans and its correlation to the oppression of African Americans and the civil rights movement in the United States. They knew that the freedom of the black man depended on the freedom of his extended family in Africa, from which emanated his cultural identity, history, and language. Now, less than 4 decades later, African leaders are completely silent to plight of black people, and their silence is contributing to the suffering of the entire black race. Why are African leaders unable or unwilling to demonstrate empathy and solidarity to blacks here in America, Europe, Asia, Oceania, as well as their own citizens, and to support their fight against injustice and discrimination? Why are they silent as boatloads of migrants perish at sea attempting a lethal passage to Europe, hoping to provide a safe and stable life for their families? I know some of my colleagues consider this a domestic problem, confined to individual countries and societies. That is possible, but in my mind, The suffering and injustice are global. If this is truly a domestic problem only, when then do they show solidarity in certain instances, not others? Excuse me, let me read that again. If this is truly a domestic problem only, why then do they show solidarity in certain instances, not others? For example, solidarity from African leaders was quite visible after the last winter attacks in Paris. You can't support the oppressor and not the oppressed. Black people across all cultures and nations have something in common. That is degradation, discrimination, oppression, racism, and suffering. I will read that again. Black people across all cultures and nations have something in common. That is degradation, discrimination, oppression, racism, and suffering. It is a global problem for black people, not confined solely to the United States of America, and the silence of African leaders regarding this issue is a tremendous failure to the people who consider Africa an ancestral home. As an African, I'm ashamed and appalled by the silence of our leaders and urge them to show solidarity with Africa's children everywhere. I know if you don't do right for your own people, you can't speak for others. Therefore, maybe African leaders should sacrifice justice and good deed for the sake of our brothers and sisters who are oppressed everywhere. The silence of these leaders is deafening that needs to change now. And this is an African brother, and he wrote this blog in the Huffington Post. You know, so yeah, I can check that out. So you know what I'm saying? So what you think about that, Smoke? With people talking about how black isn't recognized globally, and people don't call themselves black or see black as nothing. When this brother is not only speaking on black Africans and that's in America, he's speaking on Africans that's in Europe, Asia, America, and the Ocean, all the island nations, all the West Indians, all of them little island nations that, you know what I'm saying, the Solomon Islands and things like that, Cape Verde. Yeah.
I mean,
so what do you think about that?
It just really speaks to the fact that, you know, when you start talking about religions and ideology, those are the things that really separate us. You know what I'm saying? The common issue between all of that is what the brother spoke of. We all dealing with that, no matter where you know, want to pick a brother from, whether it's somewhere in Africa, whether it's here in the United States, California, South America, wherever. You know what I'm saying? We're all dealing with the same thing. And we have to get rid of, you know, those ideologies that want to separate us. So, you know, when you have brothers saying they don't fuck with Africans, you know that that's something that's pretty much anti-black, because it's not bringing us together. It's anti-black power. You know, it's like in the title you speak of what we need to do to use black power correctly. We need to get rid of all the anti-black power shit. We need to identify that and get rid of it. And when you start, you know, when you just really just start thinking about things, it's in the ideologies which come from these religions. And so, you know, that's basically what we need to do, is get rid of those religions, those ideologies, stop hanging on to it, because we need to come together. So anything that's speaking of separating us as people, or, you know, I'm not black, or, you know, fuck the Africans, and, you know, shit like that, is like, you know, we gotta chop that off, man. So yeah, that's crazy.
I totally
you know
agree.
what I'm saying? Because
I totally agree.
you have the ideal that, you know, Africans especially, they don't fuck with Americans. They don't fuck with Black Americans. You know what I'm saying? So that's like a narrative that's floated out there. But it really doesn't make sense when you understand that these brothers is going through the same, you know, the same struggle. You know what I mean? So it's just a narrative. You got to destroy those ideologies, narratives.
Watch this. That lets you know that they do pay attention to what we do. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times we like to look at people to tell us. You know what I'm saying? And they'll tell us shit like they don't care, the African don't look at you like this, or things of this nature. But a lot of times, and I always tell this to people, are you talking to the African? Or are you telling me what the European told you that the African said? You dig what I'm saying? Because it's like, the thing that's, because it's like we don't talk to each other. So now we have an African brother sitting over here talking. He's saying, he's calling out the African leadership. Like, where are y'all? Because you got to remember, if this African brother is here in America and he's being told negative stuff about Black Americans, he's looking at Black Americans with a little side eye. But then when interacting with Black Americans, he's like, wow, these guys is real. Okay, they not what they telling me about them. You know what I'm saying? And then seeing the injustice and seeing the fight and seeing how we have to fight, then turn around and say, damn, man, I'm looking at this whole history and it's like, these guys fight for us. These guys identify with us, knows us, trace their history and lineage back to us, but we don't speak for them, even though they spoke for us. So then what happened next is you start to look at yourself and say to yourself, you know what, maybe what's going on my side of the camp, we're the ones that's wrong. You dig what I'm saying? We're the ones that's wrong. Because it's like, these guys rep us. These guys represent us, and they represent us and they defend us here in Africa, in America, and that's what even makes our transition here in the States strong. You see what I'm saying? Because of these people that want to stand up and say, respect the African. I'm African. You see what I'm saying? So when the African come over here, he coming over here with people that's already putting up, what's the word I'm looking for? Putting up, like he putting juice up for him. You know what I'm saying? He putting juice up for him. It's like he's bigging him up. He's giving his rep here before he even gets here. So once he gets here, he's getting a type of look now that maybe they think they're created, the Africans, when they come here, or the West Indians when they come here. You see what I'm saying? Maybe they don't know that how many Black Americans in this country fought for their representation. So now, when you understand that, and you put all of that other bullshit aside, and then you seeing us now getting gunned down, not now getting gunned down, but you see what the real plight of being Black in this country is, and you understand what that is, and then you sit here and you look at us, and then you say to yourself, like, damn, but who helped the Black American when he's and she's in trouble, when these are the people that always stand up for everybody else? You dig what I'm saying? When Africa is in trouble, like during apartheid, I remember that because I was a part of that movement when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? And we rep. You dig what I'm saying? So the whole shit is, okay, with all of that support, all of that attention, because you got to remember, America supported apartheid South Africa. Black voices in this beast. It was black voices in Babylon. You see what I'm saying? On the mothership of destruction. It was the black bodies here that protested and demanded that America stop supporting apartheid South Africa. America was South Africa's last ally. You see what I'm saying? So now that black Americans is in attack, the African leaders are silent. And just to be clear, this is not something that always happens. So I don't want black people to think African leadership never spoke for black Americans, because that's not true. But currently, they're silent, and that's what's strange. Go ahead, Smoke.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy, you know what I'm saying? But I mean we need all hands on deck, you know what I'm saying? We definitely gonna need. I mean, when you speaking of leadership, you know, anybody in leadership that's black, you're gonna need to be fighting for us. You know what I'm saying? We gotta fight for ourselves first. You know what I'm saying? So it's coming along and shit, and you know, for you to point out in that article that, you know, this is coming from, you know what I mean, an African brother. It's not like, you know, it's an American who might be pointing this out. You know, it's coming from, you know, his home, you know, and he's speaking on what's going on there, that and how it relates globally. So we all just got to think globally, like how we can bring, you know, our brothers and sisters in different countries together. You know what I mean? And that really is the goal of Black Power right now, is, you know, bringing us all together. You know, to trade. You know, just for laws, just for everything that you can think of that black unity can bring. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's interesting.
But this black thing is the whole shit this is universal. This is global. You see what I'm saying? And the important part of that we got to pay attention to is we keep thinking, like we're not unified. You see what I'm saying? I keep hearing people say, I still hear to this day, I hear people say, black people is not unified. And I'm like, you don't see the black people in London standing up? The black people in South Africa standing up? Because it's the people that's standing up. The article is speaking on the leadership from these nations who have power and can speak to other nations. You see what I'm saying? Because I see other stories where, like, places like China and stuff, like a lot of the white nations, they're using what's going on with black people in America to turn its nose up to America when America talk about human rights abuses.
Okay. Right.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah, see, it's like this thing is so deep. You dig what I'm saying? This thing is so deep that, we don't get it. We don't get it because we're so busy being domestic that we're not thinking, what am I trying to say? We're not thinking, I don't want to say internationally, But I guess I'm going to say it like this. We look at ourselves like minorities, so we think like minorities. You know what I'm saying? We're not looking at shit like, yo, we're all over. You know what I'm saying? We're all over. We're in the West Indies. We're in the continent. We're in Europe. We're in Latin America. We're in the islands, the Oceanics. We're all over. This whole globe, this whole world is ours. So when we're in trouble in America, we're not supposed to think that we need to be kissing some white person's ass to get shit better. We should be looking towards Africa. And the African leaders are supposed to be using that as leverage against America. You see what I'm saying? We're supposed to be looking at Latin America. And Latin America is supposed to use black suffering or vice versa. We're supposed to see what's going on in Venezuela and say what's going on with the black people out there. Why are they suffering like that? What happened to the economy? Yeah, because see, when we start to look at ourselves as a global people, when we look at ourselves as we are the original people of this planet for real, and we start to really believe that and act like that and move like that, we don't look at situations in Cuba as a Cuban problem. We look at black people suffering in Cuba as a black people problem. Black people suffering in Haiti as a black people problem. Black people in Belize, black people in Panama, black people in Peru, black people in Europe, black people in America, black people in Africa, wherever. That's all of these are our people. We're all black. But I feel like we're coming to that stage, and that's a good thing. And we will feel that power when we use black power correctly. As long as we keep on moving as individuals and trying to click up so we can win favor with white people and use our black power incorrectly, which is us working with white people to use our black power to work against black people, that's being incorrect. When we continuously build this momentum to work together as a people and use this black power correctly and see us as global people and see us as the majority and not the minority and start thinking like the majority of the population, we start to think like we are the majority, we move like we are the majority, then we're going to see a lot of different change happen within us. But the energy is there, and I feel that. Go ahead, Smoke.
Nah, you're right. You're definitely right about the energy, man. You know, I was saying that yesterday. You know, I mean, I don't feel like we're gonna look back. You know what I'm saying? We just gotta build on it. You know, just like yesterday with the banks. You know, start moving your money to the banks. You know, whatever you can, get your direct deposit, throw that in there a little bit, even if it's not all of it. Just make those moves. But it's coming along, man. Black America gonna make, they're gonna make us proud, and we're gonna see that. We're gonna see that in our lifetime. It ain't gonna be the end all, be all. We got a lot of work to do, but. You know what I'm saying? It's going to happen, you know what I'm saying?
Nah, but it's never going to be the end-all, be-all, because we got to remember we are in the middle of a war. You see what I'm saying? We're in the middle of a war. We got invaders. These people do not want us to have shit. So when we put our monies in these black banks, don't have your money in these black banks thinking, yeah, like, you know what I'm saying, like, nah, you ain't win. That's just one step. You know what I'm saying? That's just one step. The process, you know?
Yeah, because you saying, you just spoke on us being at war. I was looking at, just a lot of the Trump news. because pretty much Hillary and Trump, they're pretty much going to be related to everything that's going on right now. So I both noticed that, both of them pretty much said, they pretty much declared that, we were at war also. You know what I mean? And they were speaking on the attack in France, where the truck driver ran over, 80 people, at their Independence Day celebration. And, they pretty much said that, that is war. Like I speak, reading from the Daily Journal, they speak last night's horror in France, in which a truck plowed through a crowd celebrating Bastille Day, spurred strong words from both candidates. As the death toll rose to 80, Donald Trump pushed back the news conference at which will reportedly name Indiana Governor Mike Pence for his running mate, which at this time he did already. And he
wait,
said,
take a pen right there. I was shocked by that. I was like, I really thought he was gonna get me. I'm saying? He's a familiar face.
Just to speak on that, because I was like, the funny thing is, they showed, it might have been Fox News or whatever, but they showed there was Newt Gingrich, Chris Christie, and Mike Pence. Now, I don't know anything about Mike Pence, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Chris Christie,
and I didn't think they was gonna do. I didn't think they was gonna do Chris Christie though. I was like,
yeah, but I was
I was like,
if he want to win, he gonna pick Mike Pence because Chris Christie got he got issues with him. He got stories, with the bridge that he had over that a couple years ago. He shut down the bridge and the emails leaked on that. Newt Gingrich, he's a fireball type motherfucker. He keep controversy going on. So I was like, Mike Pence, I never heard of him, so maybe he'll pick him, because he doesn't have much attached to him. So when I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, Trump trying to win this thing.
Man, he's trying to. I don't know where everybody keeps getting this shit that Trump did this shit because he like of a bet, and then once he was getting momentum, then that's when he got. So I'm like, y'all lying like a motherfucker. Out his own mouth, he said that out of his own mouth, he said that if he don't get the Republican nomination, that he's running for a third party candidate. So when I heard him say that, like I said, okay, this dude ain't playing. I said he really trying to win. And then peep this. So Bernie endorsed Hillary, right? Now Bernie endorses Hillary, and everybody is pissed. Everybody calling Bernie a hypocrite. You know what I'm saying? You got people out there like, oh, he sold out for the establishment. So they don't like Hillary. They don't like her. Nobody likes Hillary. Everybody keeps talking this stupid ass shit about, oh, we're just trying to keep Trump out of the office, out of the White House. I'm like, well, y'all should have picked somebody else than Hillary because nobody likes Hillary. That's the shit that trips me out. Find me somebody that likes Hillary. Find me somebody that likes Hillary. Hillary, oh my God, when you get into this lady's history, man, you'll laugh. You'll be like, yo, how does she feel like she's going to win with this record? When during the Civil Rights Movement, she picked the Jew dude, Goldburn or some shit like that. He was on the Republican side, and he wanted to basically, keep up the segregation laws or whatever, that type of shit. Where the Democratic side now, they done switched sides and came, and the blacks was working with them, So she was on the Republican side to keep blacks subjugated. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yo, she always been on the wrong side. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but y'all niggas, you know what I mean? So that's what it is with her. So it's like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just to
I guess
just to continue on, you know what I'm saying? He was saying, this is war, is what Trump said after the apparent terrorist attack. Hillary and rare unanimity agreed, we've got to do more to understand that this is a war against these terrorist groups, these radical jihadist groups, she said on Fox News. And so, you know, both of them, they have the standpoint of, you know, we're at war. You just mentioned that we're at war. And so I was just thinking about how, you know, you've seen how, you know, there was this villainization of the, you know, the Black Lives Movement. You know, you've seen the RBG flag get tossed around, and you know, in those type news, and you just see, you know, you see the brother wearing a dashiki, the, you know, Malcolm Johnson wearing a dashiki. So now you're starting to see those images, and you know, we had a show, you know, maybe a few months back or whatever, speaking on how, you know, groups can be terror, like hate, be classified as hate groups, and you know what it took for that to happen. And so now you can see, like, where
and you don't have to commit
it's
a crime.
What you said?
I said you don't have to commit a crime.
Right.
And you can be considered. So they're showing that.
Which pretty much is going to equal out to you speaking up for yourself. You can be considered in one of these hate groups in which there's going to be a war on that. You know, there's going to be a declared war. You can see with both Hillary and Trump, you know, regardless of whoever is going to be there. This is going to be something that there's going to be an emphasis on. So, you know, it's funny that you say that we're at war. I mean, there's clear signs of it, being that we're already at war. But now you see that it's intertwined with what, you know, the vibe of America right now. This is what we're speaking on. You're seeing black men getting gunned down in the street, black women getting killed by police. You know, you see this going on. Now you have talks of war. This is what's going through the candidate's head right now. Not bringing the economy back, not bringing it. So these are the things that's going on. So we got to be careful and mindful of, you know, the climate of things right now and what we need to be doing,
right,
you know, to survive this climate, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Now, hold on, we got a caller. Caller 314-381. Caller, what's the name? Where you calling from?
Hey, I'm calling from St. Louis area.
Yeah, what's going on?
What's Why do you think so many blacks are supporting Hillary and not Bernie Sanders when he was running? I think they didn't like Bernie Sanders because of what he said. He said that the police should look like the community that it served. And I don't even think that blacks go for that. What about you?
No, I think what happened when it comes to black people and politics, it really doesn't matter who it is, as long as you're part of that political group that we are assigned to, I guess, stick to that party. Because we used to make mistakes like that when we was Republicans, during W.E.B. Du Bois also, during that era. So when we was Republicans, and the leaders of that time decided to not vote for a candidate because it wasn't in our interest, we still voted because of that party support. So when it comes to Hillary, it's just party support, and everybody is looking at it more so like, well, Bernie's, because this was the argument in the beginning, Bernie was too old to run. They didn't even listen to what he wanted. Not until he got momentum. then everyone started to think, well, maybe Bernie. Well, did you hear what Bernie said? But in the beginning, it was the surefire bet would be Hillary. So anybody else would be a waste of a vote. Unfortunately, that's how we think.
Well, the things he was saying from the beginning was on time. Now, me myself, I'm supporting Trump. I had from the beginning. But the things that Bernie said was really good. I mean, he said some very things that come home. Talking about the student loan, education, and I don't know if he said much about along the economics line, but if Bernie had won the Democratic nomination, then I would have supported him based on some of the things he said about education.
That's interesting you say that because I believe that Trump is going to win because of history. But I did say that I thought that also, that if it was Trump versus Bernie, Bernie would win. I really think it was a mistake for Hillary Clinton to be up because nobody likes Hillary Clinton.
She's very dangerous.
She's dangerous.
Dangerous person. Look at the things that she's done. The fact that she's a woman, she has to prove two things. One, that she's a tough, being a woman, sort of like a Margaret Thatcher. And then again, she's who she is as being a Democrat. So now you mentioned about how blacks should use it, black power. I think blacks should use black power, and I'm also black, economically. That's something that I always preach. Economics and also education. What your children, what black children need to be involved in. History is all right, but you have to have skills training that goes along with that history, and they have to be taught in the high paying fields. Whether you're gonna work for somebody, even if you're working for an African American company, you want that company to be involved in something major. And there's a lot of opportunities out there that's coming. Yeah, they just said that they're going to put, Obama administration just put $1 trillion into effect toward the defense industry as far as the nuclear weapons are concerned for the next 10 years. Well, we need to be positioned. Somebody needs to be positioning themselves to get involved in that and start making great gains from it.
That's the way we got to think. We have to take advantage of changes in what's going on around us and use those, use things like that to our advantage. So we know that money is going to be there for defense. Push our kids into those type of fields like you were saying. So, yeah, that's the way we definitely got to start thinking.
And you're talking about Africa. Africa should be a place where you manufacture and produce, especially food. Because I was listening to an NPR program, and they had discussions going on with somebody from the Department of Agriculture. And the host asked this person who represented the agriculture, talking about Africa's population going to 2 billion. He asked them, how are we going to feed them? He didn't say how are they going to feed themselves. He said, how are we going to feed them? I mean, that's really bold, don't you think so?
Yeah, very bold. It's very bold, and that's one of our I believe that's one of our biggest mistakes, and theirs is not linking up, and that's what that article I read earlier. The title's called "The Silence of African Leaders to the Oppression of Black People" by this. It's a blog on the Huffington Post, and I think that's the mistake that we both make, because that Black Americans who have whether we admit it or not, we're still educated in America. So even our most ignorant of us in America, you can still take that person and take him overseas, and he's more educated than somebody over there off of a skill or a trade, even if it's a hustle, something in his mind of that capitalism. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like we can use our talents here in America, and we can really capitalize overseas. The people overseas, they can use us as a plug. So if you're growing your food, you need that American market. Guess what? Connect with your American brothers. I mean, your African American brothers here. That's your plug.
You're absolutely
that's what
right.
the Italians do, the Jews, and all that. Yeah.
And you know
so
what
that's
else?
Why I think that we need to look into it of that nature. Yeah. Continue.
Look at where these white companies are making stuff for. Then start making it just as good as quality. You can make it cheaper and start stealing their market. That's where you get back at white supremacy. All this stuff that they're doing here. The easiest, well, I say one alternative, may not be the only one, is to compete against them in that fashion. You got American Poetry Company, Tyson, Pilgrims, Conrad, and some others. They export frozen chicken to African countries, West Africa. Well, let's build some poetry forums over there.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And you start cutting them out. You get to the point where you tell them, I don't need you no more.
Yeah. That's
but anyway, I'm going to let you brother
go.
Much
did with the fish.
Yeah, Claude Anderson puts it out there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know. I met him. I know him very well. He puts it out there. Claude Anderson.
Before you go, I want to ask you a question, though. As a black man voting for Trump, can you give your reason why you chose that?
Well, I'm a business person. I've been, you know, the buildings that fell down 9/11 in New York.
Yeah.
I had a company that put buildings up like that. I know you didn't know that blacks did that, but I was one.
And good to know.
I've been to the mountaintop, and I know what's over there. No, I'm going to say this. I've been over on the other side. People get to the mountaintop and look over. I've been over there. And Hillary will not make it formidable for you to perform over there. If they was, they would have done so by now. But I think that Donald Trump would. And if he didn't, he surely ain't going to give you something to pacify you like the Democrats do. And that is a big problem.
Right.
You know, when people are comfortable, they don't take no chances. I mean, they comfortable. Why would I go out? I mean, I got that already. You know what I'm saying?
I totally
agree. And that's
agree.
what I think. I think that's what the problem is. And not to say that some families don't need it, but when you depend on something like that and something is given to you, it's just like when they take a bear out of the woods and put him in a zoo and feed him every day. Well, hell, you put him back out in the woods after a period of time, he won't know how to survive. He'll be coming back knocking on the door of the zoo trying to get back in. Right. So that's that. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later.
But thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot, man. That's some excellent points you made, man. So, all right. Man, that was definitely a great call. That was definitely a great call. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of that is, see, the reason why I asked the question that I asked, especially the Donald Trump question, is because I want black people to hear from a black person why he would choose Trump. You see what I'm saying? So when black people hear me say Trump is going to win, I knew Trump was going to win from the beginning because these are the things that he said, because of history shows that they're not going to pick another Democrat. Y'all keep hoping and wishing that Hillary wins because they're scaring y'all for a Donald Trump win, but y'all need to be preparing yourself for that Donald Trump win because that's what's going to happen. I don't want people to think, why is he saying that? Why is he saying that? The brother made an excellent point when he said, he's not going to pacify us. The Democrats ain't nothing but a big pacifier that black people suck on. That's it. And I don't want to see us get rockabye to sleep for another 8 years. We got rockabye during the Bush administration, which is Republican, but we got rockabye with that whole 9/11. We all Americans, we all under the same thing. It's not about black and white. It's the Arabs that's getting us. No, that was a time when black people should have been saying, yeah, white man, look at the Arab, he getting us, while we was working on building black America. But no, we sat here with him chatting all the racist stuff, and I'm going to keep my eye on Al-Qaeda and all this other stupid stuff. And guess what? When the white man finished getting his ass kicked overseas and making his deals over there with the oils and shit and the opium in Afghanistan, the same opium that's killing up all them white kids in Maine and stuff, then he turned around and said, nigga, what are you so close to me for? Get your ass back over there. And now we all like, oh, okay. Yes, boss, I'm sorry. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, no, we should have been working on ourselves then. That way, once that white man came back from that fight in that war with the Arabs, he would have turned around and he would have been like, oh, shit. They built up their economy.
I agree with all the points of Donald Trump. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's all there to look at. But that's why I be feeling like Hillary going to win, because she's going to be more detrimental to us. And we got to be that more diligent in doing what we need to do. You know what I'm saying? It's just like you see television and you watch the BET Awards, you watch any of these media takeout, World Star, whatever, and you see, you know, rap artists, entertainers, they all pushing for Hillary. We're going to bring the Bernie Sanders. I saw Snoop was talking about bringing Bernie Sanders voters together with the Hillary supporters. And, you know, so, you know, that's the vibe where I feel like Hillary going to win on.
No, but you got to understand, that's because, but they're not pushing Hillary. They're pushing the Democrats. That's a whole Democratic, because even if Bernie won, it would have been the same shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It would have been the same shit. It's just Democratic. That's it. Because it's the Democrats, the agenda is we're going to get these black people now and we're going to push them to vote. They're not even telling us what Hillary's going to do. They're going to say, we have to get Hillary in to stop Trump.
You already know.
And this is the sad part. The sad part is they'll turn around and they'll say, why? And that's why I asked the brother, why, as a black man, what will make you vote for Trump? Just so black people could hear it. You see what I'm saying? Because with the Hillary situation, they'll say, we got to vote for Hillary because if Trump go in, we're going to be slaves. And I'm like, what? What? Who told you that? Was it a Democrat that told you that? Like, this is crazy talk. Listen, we can no longer be pacified. We have to use our black power. We have to use our unity that's being formed because of what we're seeing. Because of what we're seeing, you know what I'm saying, with the killings and stuff like that. We have to use this target on us, this fire under our feet, and we have to use that to get that survival spirit again, that collectiveness. And that's a salute to Killer Mike for galvanizing the people to put their monies in a black bank. But I also want to bring up a story coming from Atlanta Black Star, and the title is Black Industrial Firm Invests $100,000 in African American startup because black businesses should pull others forward. When the seed of the Black Economy Commerce website Ebonami, like instead of economy, it's like ebonanomy, like ebony economy, was planted nearly 2 years ago. Brothers Jeff and Carlton Allen knew there was a need to index black-owned businesses. The black community needs a strong economic base, Clayton Allen, Ebonami Chief Technology Officer told Atlanta Black Star. In order to engage in cooperative economics and education, we must be able to find black businesses and sources of information. Ebonanomy is a way to organize the resources, including businesses and other types of websites from the black community, while also making these resources searchable. After officially being incorporated in April, Ebonanomy, which is a combination of ebony and economy, which I said earlier, launched July 4th. The site works by businesses, July 4th, right. The site works by businesses signing up to have their companies indexed for easy access by those seeking to support black-owned groups. The website is not just limited to tech companies such as itself. Ebonanomy also includes a variety of organizations like hair care products and news sites. The brothers previously held positions in business, but in a new venture is the first of its kind for Jeffrey Allen. He worked in construction industry for 11 years with his brother Clayton, serving as a partner in the Charlotte, North Carolina software company, development company. So it says, so this is what the brother's doing. So it's like, at the end of the day, that's what we have to do. We have to, we got to know what the black businesses are that we're supporting, where they're at to support them. We have to know how many. We got to put them all together so we can see what it is that we have to work with. And then on top of that, we have to breed this energy into our children. And I think that's very important. That's a very important part of this whole equation. It's good if we're doing it, but I think it's better when we breed our children with this information. You know what I'm saying? When we breed that shit. Yeah, from a youth, like they feel like they feel weird. If, like, for example, me, I'm a born Rastafarian. You know what I'm saying? Nyabingi. So I remember going to a store in South Carolina, and it was a Rasta store. Red, gold, and green, Haile Selassie, Ethiopian this, Rasta that, Bob Marley this. But the owners was white. And I'm looking at this thing like, man, I am not about to buy my cultural stuff from a white person. I'm going to buy my cultural stuff from my cultural people. If this is a black man, dreadlocks come down to his feet, the woman come hair wrap, you know what I'm saying, blessed up, we talk, you know, that's cool. But I walk inside there, and I'm seeing these white people, and I'm like, yeah, something about in my spirit I didn't feel right. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we have to have. We have to breed that into our children. Our children are supposed to feel weird having their money in a white bank when they know of black banks. You know what I'm saying? When they know that there's a black bank that they can put their money in, they're supposed to feel weird. It's supposed to be in their stomach. It feels like, yo, I feel like I'm selling out putting my money in a white bank.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be in their DNA.
You instill that in your kids by, starting that now. Starting these trends now, starting that mind frame now. So, you might have a few banks you deal with because of whatever reason. But, get you that black bank, establish your kid account there. You know what I'm saying? Give them a card. Have them learn how to spend it and so forth off of that card. That's all they know is the black bank. You know what I'm saying? So you just start that now with, with the things that you want to instill in your child. You start those. If you want to eat better. You're like, man, I don't want my kid to be overweight like myself, or just eat all this craziness. So you start trying to, make your diet better. Feed that stuff to your kid. Feed the better stuff to your kids. They'll grow up from a youngster knowing like, well, I was eating this when I was young, so it's normal to them. We gotta make blackness normal. We gotta make it normal for our kids. You know what I'm saying? And right now, everything is anti-black. We gotta make black normal.
And we got to understand that we are in the middle of a war. We've been at war with these people for over 500 years. So when we're in a situation like the brother that called, and you're a business owner, you know what I'm saying? Look, you're a business owner. You part of that cream. You know what I'm saying? Why in the hell would you vote Democrat? You're going to be a Republican. But while being a Republican, you see what I'm saying? We need our people in that arena also to benefit black people in the black business crowd, in the black business community, to make sure we get in these deals and these bids. Because one thing that the brother said also that I want to point out is when these deals and bills and contracts when these bills come in the president signs it, when these contracts come, when this money is being allocated, right? Where are we to grab these contracts and this money? You see? We black people in this country who is at war and been at war for over 500 years, we need to infiltrate and control the Democratic Party as well as the Republican Party. We need to control black America and the black economy and control the white economy. You see what I'm saying? We don't need to separate nothing. We need to control and dominate everything that we in. Every single thing. Whether you a mail boy, and we find out that black people flood up the whole mail boys and secretary position. They're all black. That's good. You see what I'm saying? And we got a black economy with a black business. That's good. Let these black people working for white people take that white dollars that you're getting from them and bring that into these black businesses. Support these black stores. The black people working for black people, same thing. Black business, hire. When there's layoffs in the white economy, all this black talent can now come back to the black economy with its jobs and be hired. You see what I'm saying? And they have that job skill, quality, or education, or whatever, experience, whatever. They know what's going on the other side of the field, and now they can bring that information to Black America, where we even, strengthen our stuff more and know where they at. But we got to stop looking at this as it's one race, the human race. I don't see color and all that. No. you need to look at one race, the black race, do see color black, and say to yourself, how can we improve our situation? When we're looking at this stuff, that's how we have to look at life. Everything. We're in competition. Let's compete. We're in the middle of war. Then let's fight back. And let's defend ourselves, offense and defense. When it's time to vote, don't sit there with that single block thinking, the Republicans is racist, that's why I vote Democratic. No. When somebody lay a plan out for you, and they lay out a plan that's a 20-year plan, a 40-year plan, a 100-year plan, the only way for them plans to work is if you stay the course. Those plans always fall apart when you do something radical. So for you to do something radical would be saying, let's pull our money out of these white banks and put it into a black bank. That's something that they did not have in their plan. They don't have a counterpart for a move like that. This black man shooting cops in Dallas. They didn't have a counter plan for that. Black people rioting in Ferguson. They didn't have a counter plan for that. The only counter plan they have for that is concession. Okay, you're burning and looting in Ferguson, so what we're going to do is we're going to add more black people to the force, and we're no longer going to arrest black people who gets traffic violations, and now you're just going to get tickets. These are changes that happen in Ferguson after. They seem small or they might seem trivial, but trust me, if you live in an area and you no longer have to get arrested for a traffic situation, trust me, that's a big change. Having more black people on the force when it was an all-white force, that's a big change. You see what I'm saying? Not big change, but that's change, I should say. But that's
that only happened when the people
galvanize. It's when you galvanize, but what I'm saying is the counterpart of the galvanization is let's pacify them. So once you burn and loot, we'll add more black to the force, and we'll do this. Pacify everything, calm, cool, but your condition stays the same. But what we need to do is when we're making these changes, let's support black business. Let's put our money in black banks. Let's now, build more. You know what I'm saying? Like get property. Let's have pride for oneself. Let's raise our kids properly. Let's stop being afraid, black man, to walk up to these dudes that's causing drama in our hood and let them know, yo, ease up with that, straight up. But not on no dumb shit. You stay strapped up and ready to pop one of them if it get ugly. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. Ain't no sucker shit. You go there the same way they coming. These are young boys versus the old lions. What you gonna do? You gonna let these misguided cubs? Not because I'm gonna use an example that the brother that called up said. He said if you take a bear out the wilderness, put him in the zoo, and now you put him back in the wilderness, and he don't know how to eat. He'll die. But what if you take the bear out the wilderness, right? You put him in the zoo, you put him back in the wilderness, and he does survive, right? But he throw off the whole balance of the wilderness, where now they practicing homosexuality, right? Now you got 5 bears screwing one goddamn woman bear. You know what I'm saying? They running G's and shit on her. You know what I'm saying? She pregnant and everything. Chaos. You got bears now killing the wilderness bears on some savagery. You see what I'm saying? Are you going to allow these sick bears to turn out the baby bears who have to now get wilder to compete against them? Or are the older bears going to say, you know what, enough is enough? You see what I'm saying? So for us to use our black power, we have to use our black power on all fronts. Everybody should be using their black power to raise their children up correctly and to raise their children up pro-black and aware of who they are, their potentials, and the importance of race first, like the Mexicans do with La Raza, like the Jews do, you know what I'm saying, with whatever, you know, with their Jewish stuff, like white people do, you know what I'm saying, like every other group do, the Asians. When you see these groups have their own language on the wall and you can't read, that's their barrier.
Yeah.
That's them saying race first.
For that.
Yeah, but that's the Chinaman saying race first.
Yeah,
when you go to the Mexican,
what was the name of that
what?
app again? The app.
What app?
Black business app.
Ebonomics. Let me spell it.
Ebonomics.
Ebonomy. Yeah, it's like EBONOMY. It's ebony and economy.
Okay.
So it's no.
Yeah, because I see on like on the Google apps they have some other ones for black-owned businesses. The Black Trade Lines Directory. They also have Buy Black KC is another app. They got Support Black Owned or SBO. They got Grassroots Businesses. It's a e-grassroots business. So that's a couple of other ones. And the Where Are You app. Where You, rather. WHEREU. So it's another app. These are all apps looking up, black-owned businesses in your area. So, they're there. We all got smartphones and touchscreen computers with apps and all that, smart TV. Yeah. Go download some of them joints. And a lot of us have houses. Single women, I know a lot of women with houses. You know what I'm saying? You need plumbing work. Go on that little app, type it in, get you a plumber. You know what I'm saying, or whatever, or anybody who got a house.
Yeah, if that woman needs some plumbing work, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of single women out there who got a house and they might need some plumbing work.
That was the example they had. Little plumber. Fucking for blowing up on and shit. Yeah. But nah, you know what I'm saying? Just go. Whatever services you need out there, electricity, you got something broken in your crib, you need painting. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of us out there that's doing it, and now you're able, and if you offer those services, you can plug into those apps. So, learn how to make yourself available for those apps when, potential clients is looking for someone, you're actually there. Because you see a lot of, people, they might be promoting their little trucks driving around with their number on the side. So, if that's your only route or your only way of, getting customers and clientele, then, you could easily, sign up for these apps and now you're in the mix to where, we can actually find you, when we're looking for you for service.
Right.
So, yeah. Let's get to it.
Yeah.
Support black biz. You heard?
Definitely got to support that. And it's like, see the thing, and that's why I think it's important for a Trump win, because you know me with my 20-year thing, and every 20 years been a generation, every 20 years they play this game on us. We about to hit 2020.
Right.
It's no joke. We about to hit 2020, so it's like, this is a turn. We're at a crossroad. You see what I'm saying? And like the brother said, his business is the business that built the buildings for the Trade Center. I do know because I invest. You know what I'm saying? And I get a lot of those investment books. So I read up a lot of that. And what I noticed is, in America, black people on the business side, there's a lot of black business owners, and they making bread. There's a lot of black CEOs, CFOs. There's black people in a lot of high positions. They only show us sports and entertainment, but when you get those magazines and you're reading these stories and these articles and you're looking at who's in charge and the 100, when Forbes have their 100, whatever, most important or 100 wealthiest and all kind of shit, even though there'd be a lot of white people on there, when you see the black people on there and see who, like what company they're over, whatever like that, like Microsoft and Chrysler and Ford and things of this nature. Yo, you really sit back and be like, wow, we really in some major places that if we all just put all of that together, man, we can create an industry. But I think what happened with us is I really believe it's because we're being pumped over 24 hours a day, minority. 12% of the population. 12% of the population. Slaves. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, when you hear that over and over again, black on black crime, unwed mothers, welfare, poverty. You don't really think of yourself or the group that you belong to. I don't think that you really believe that it's capable. You know what I'm saying? Like you start to believe that there's no way this would never work, because you start to look like we don't have the money, but then you find out we spent 1.1 trillion last year. Well, we don't got the unity, but right now you see black people unifying globally from all over the United States. Black people standing up about the abuse black people are facing in America. And you got black people from South Africa, Europe, the West Indies standing up, acknowledging what's going on with black people in this country. So that is unity. Well, we don't got the businesses, but then you start to see with the support black business, when we have this directory, we see the black businesses that we have. But we don't got the banks. And now we see that we got the black banks. You see what I'm saying? So what really is the reason why we can't do this? Because 24 hours a day in America, it's a program being pumped. You're a minority. You're poor. Poverty. Crime. More black men in jail than prison. More black men is gay. More black men is dead. Black on black crime. Black woman unwed. Black woman with multiple children by multiple men. Black women have high HIV rate. Slavery. You know what I'm saying? And it's like unintelligent. Low graduation rate. You know what I'm saying? High incarceration. Like, when you constantly keep hearing that shit over and over and again, it does something to your psyche. It's mind control. And it's social development. It's social engineering. Right. It's social engineering. Because they know that if I constantly keep pumping this over and over to these people, they're going to believe this eventually. If you keep telling a lie over and over again, eventually you're going to believe it. Then you're going to look at the bum on the corner and associate him with your whole race. And you can look at 10 businessmen and say, y'all the minority, and see one bum and say, that's how the majority of black people live. You see what I'm saying? That's how you yourself with your own, yourself, that's how you're going to look at your own people. You can look at you can see a seminar of black business people, black enterprise seminar where who's who of black business come together, and you can see thousands of black people, right, and say, wouldn't it be great if we all was like this? And it's like, you're looking at thousands of these black, but then you'll see 5 black kids rob somebody and say, that's the problem with black people. We out here robbing and stealing. And it's like, how do you look at a minority problem in our community and say that's the majority of us, but you can see 1 million black businesses and say that's a minority. That's a small amount. Well, they ain't as powerful as, and the only thing you're trying to do is tear that down. And that's because our reality is the programming that white people put into our head that we ain't shit. And if you keep telling somebody they're not shit over and over again, eventually they're going to believe that they're not shit. And then they're going to raise their children to believe that they're not shit. And when their kids say, you know what, Mom? I want to do this with my life. For what? You ain't going to make it. And that's where that comes from. We can't even look at that mother and say she's foul for telling her daughter or telling her son that. We have to say to ourselves, where did she get that from? Because if we can understand where that comes from, then we can understand how to stop that sickness. And that you know what I'm saying? So that's what I like about this climate right now, though. That I feel like some of this ignorance is slowly washing out of our DNA. And if we keep this momentum up for the next 20 years, we could start rebuilding black America and having black towns across the country again. I can see that. You see what I'm saying? Another 20 years, I could see us with, you know what I'm saying, doing this international trades and shit. You know what I'm saying? Strong.
Yeah, we just got to stay moving forward. That's really all it comes down to. I mean, we understand that the power is in the people. You know what I'm saying? If we stand together and we mobilize, the mission is gonna be accomplished. I mean, it's not an overnight process. You know, it's not gonna be tomorrow wake up and everything is
do it for your children.
Peaches and cream. You know what I'm saying? But you know, if we stand firm in what we need and knowing what we need and wanting to really resolve those needs, you know, it'll happen for us, man. And you see the lanes opening up where the conversation is being had about businesses, and you know, we've been, you know, last 2 shows we've been just talking about, you know, investing in the black banks, you know, black business, promoting black business. We've been doing that, you know, since our inception. So, you know, we know what we need to do. Is just doing it. You know what I'm saying? And the lanes that they're being open for it. I see, you know, there's talks of other social media networks being built. The More Us app, you know, that's supposed to be coming soon from Tariq Nasheed, you know, and his crew. So, you know, the lanes are being open, and we just got to take advantage of, you know, like the caller was pointing out, you know, understanding what's happening, you know, and take advantage of what's happening. And so right now it's the technology age. You know, you see, we were just talking about apps. So, you know, point your kids in that direction, you know, building apps that really are going to fulfill what we need. You know, that's a small portion of it. But, you know, get the kids into the technology. But, yeah, we just got to keep pushing forward. you can't take these small victories as, you know, the end all be all.
And we damn sure can't do it because a lot, like I said, when they concede to give us concessions and they just try to quell the fire, then all should just go. I don't want to say it goes away. What I'm trying to say, it just it's like they can slowly close the door and they can move on. You understand what I'm saying? So I want to bring up this story. After 2 years, the probe of Eric Gardner chokehold death is in limbo. So they got a picture of Eric Gardner's funeral. It's beautiful. Like I said, you got to understand the change that's going on with black people, right? As we open our eyes, as we get knowledge of self and this consciousness, right? Everybody like to talk about the conscious community and how, what do all of this information mean? It's really opening people's eyes. I'm looking at this picture, and this is a funeral, and the color everybody wearing is white. You dig what I'm saying? Smoke.
Nah, I'm with you.
Yeah, they all rocking white. Yeah, they're not rocking black. They're all rocking white. You see what I'm saying? And that's how. This is how you create culture, black Americans and black people. You see what I'm saying? This is how you create culture. Let that be a black thing. Let a white person, somebody that's dealing in an interracial relationship, and they go to a black function, and it's that black person's family member that's dead, and that white woman or that white man says, "Oh, we're going to a funeral, so I got the perfect black dress or the perfect black tuxedo," and it's like, nah, you don't wear black to a black people's funeral. We wear white. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you wear white? Yeah, like, that's how you break out of that shit. Again, when we teach our children, we need to teach our children through action and through talking. You know what I'm saying? And teaching. We honor black. We're going to show black, support black. You see what I'm saying? This is what we do. Everybody talk about black-on-black violence, and we understand that black people committing crime against black people, that's an economic issue that we're working on. That's a self-esteem issue that we're working on. You see what I'm saying? But police brutality, politics, power, these contracts, how the money is allocated in this country, when it goes to who communities, that's every black person's problem. And these are the things that we have to take serious. And for us to take that serious, we have to really breed it into our children. We got to breed this into our children. You know what I'm saying? We have to let our children know how important it is. A lot of times we like to hide these things from our children and let them we want to hide it from the children, thinking that they're too young for these topics. And I'm here to tell you that if you feel like your child should not know what's going on in black America to black people and what the fight is about, you're not giving your child a tool to be a better black person. And that's how a lot of these black children get caught up in non-important issues, in my opinion, because we got these black children. Yeah, because see, I feel like they grow up believing, and help me out if I'm wrong, because I grew up different. But I feel like me growing up pro-black Pan-African, right, as a Nyabingi Rasta man, we grew up with our eyes open. We grew up understanding black people in this country versus white people in this country, and understanding the history, and understanding that we have to fight in this country, and for us to better ourselves and to be independent and to be a strong race, that economics is important, land is important, ownership, business, these things are important. You see what I'm saying? Supporting each other is important. So when I hear black people who didn't have knowledge of self, and they'll say, like, well, I don't care. I ain't even gonna buy somebody's stuff just because they black. I'm supporting anybody because I don't see race and color. I used to feel like, are you serious? Like it would be strange to me. You know what I'm saying? So break it down on that side of the thing.
Well, I mean, it's just basically what you just said. I mean, most if you didn't grow up in it that way, you're not thinking of it as what that current action is, how it may affect your race, your people. You know what I'm saying? It's just this guy got it for $5 cheaper than what the black man got it. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever your reasoning is. You're not thinking about how you spending your money and keeping it in the community and having out your money, turnover so many times within our, the black community. You're not thinking about that. So whereas you were grown up, you grew up in a place where that was known. Most of, from my standpoint, like how I grew up, I didn't know anything about that. It's like, whatever.
Right.
You're just thinking about whatever it is.
So describe that mind frame. Describe it when you was young, before you got knowledge of self and knew that. Like, describe, like, when you heard somebody talking pro-black or saying, buy black, support black, what would run through your mind?
I mean,
when you heard that?
Personally, it made sense. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
Now, how many times I was exposed to that would be more of the issue. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
okay.
It's like, so it's like, whereas you might, you go downtown Brooklyn, you see the brothers selling, come buy from the black man, brother. I'll go over there and buy a book, even though I'm not even going to read the joint. You know what I'm saying? Or I just get something that I want, just to spend 10 hours with that cat. But it's like, if that's not in front of me, I'm going over here. I'm going to the store on the corner of the Puerto Rican store. Give me whatever I want.
Let me ask
you know
you
what
this.
I'm saying? The Arab store.
Let me ask you this.
Like whatever. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Have you ever heard anybody, either in your family or maybe just friends or something, who was anti-pro-black? Like supporting black, I should say. Like you know what I'm saying? Like they might be like, man, I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to buy nothing from no black person. You know what I'm saying? Something like that.
Not outright like that, but more so in the sense of holding on to the narrative of black business. Oh man, you go over there, you're gonna overcharge you. The service ain't gonna be as good. Black people don't care about, it's like that. So, it's like, you'll see it where it's like, you throwing a party, black catering service, white catering service. You're like, you know how black people is. They on 31 price, and it's going to be more than that. You just automatically throwing the negatives in there before you even had an experience with it. So I see that with black people a lot of times. They won't outright say, like, I don't support black businesses.
Right.
You're going to sound crazy. But you'll see it in, like, how you might make a decision.
How they bitching or something.
Right, you know what I'm saying? Like,
how it might be extra bitching. And
Right. You know, you already got your defenses up for something going wrong. And, you know, that could always kill interaction, too, you know, when you're trying to deal with business or negotiate pricing. You know, if you already think somebody's going to shit on you, you automatically coming in trying to, like, you know, negotiate the price. And, you know, the owner, the business owner is like, yo, we ain't even get to anything yet. And, you know, that can strain things, you know what I'm saying? So you know how it is. But it's more so like we're holding on to a narrative instead of actually, like, trying the business or whatever. And then it's like when you have that bad occurrence, you know, when you go in there, you get the food that wasn't that good, or, you know, you get a cashier that was nasty, or whatever the case may be, then, you know, we take that extra. We're not going to go back for the second time. You know, whereas...
So we'll argue with the Chinese man and shit like that at your local fucking Chinese restaurant.
But you're gonna go back at the end of the day. Whether you argue with him, whether he whatever, it's like, oh, you didn't make it right last time. All right, yeah, you know, go back. You know, you're gonna give him that second opportunity. You see that with big institutions. You know, everybody's went to McDonald's and they shit was fucked up, or, you know, whatever restaurant you might go to, you know, went there and you didn't get what you wanted, you know what I'm saying? But you went back. You know, most of the time you're going to end up going back. But you'll see with the black is one time. You're like, you got one time to get it right. And, you know, as with us being the biggest consumers and spenders, we don't have that mind frame when it comes to other businesses, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we need to do that shit, man. So we got 18 more minutes. Guest calling number 646-716-4654. How can black people use black power correctly? Press 1 to talk. But before I get, you know, we leave, I definitely want to continue the story about the brother Eric Garner. After 2 years, the probe of Eric Garner chokehold death is in limbo, right? So it goes, 2 years after the chokehold death of Eric Garner made I Can't Breathe a rally cry for protest over police killing of black men, federal authorities are still grappling with whether to prosecute the white officer seen on a widely watched video wrapping his arm around Garner's neck. The legal limbo is playing out on the watch of Attorney General Loretta Lynch, who has come under persistent pressure in the city and elsewhere to bring Officer Daniel Pantaleo to justice. The New York City case turned out to be a forerunner to a series of videotaped police killings across the country that have fueled outrage and protest. Before becoming Attorney General, Lynch ran the U.S. Attorney's Office in Brooklyn, which initiated the review of Gardner's case after a state grand jury refused to indict Pantaleo in 2014. And she personally met with Gardner's family in that role. Questioned by Congress this week, she said the Gardner investigation remained open but gave no indication of how or when a decision will be made. Last year, the city agreed to pay $5.9 million to settle the family's wrongful death claim, but the push for a federal case was persisted. Case has persisted. Gardner's siblings performed on a rap song called I Can't Breathe that was released to mark the second anniversary of his July 17, 2014 death, and his mother, Gwen Carr, has proposed converting a small park across the street from where he died into a playground named after him. What's in my heart is to keep my son's name alive, Carr said. This is my work for the rest of my life. So, a resolution has been hampered by a behind-the-scenes disagreement over the direction of the federal investigation of Gardner's death in Staten Island. According to two people with inside knowledge, On one side are prosecutors in Lynn's former office in Brooklyn who aren't sure there's enough evidence to charge Pantalo at the federal level. On the other side are their counterparts in the Justice Department, Civil Rights Division in Washington, who feels more confident in foregoing ahead. Both people were not authorized to discuss the decision-making process and spoke on conditions of anonymity. Officials at the Justice Department declined to comment for this article. So,
yeah, you know how that goes.
Is,
it's like the longer they drag it out, the less likely it happens. That's the law, you know. Just keep it going. These guys got money. It's under the city, so the city can determine whenever, you know, they want these cases to come up. You know, if they want to fast track it, they can. So, but we know how it's going. They're going to drag it out as long as possible, and then when it's not on the minds of the people anymore, you know, they can always drop charges. You know, when it really is like, it really is. It's on the back burner, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to have such a shock to the people or anything like that. So, I mean, that strategy, we always see that play out, you know, when it comes to, you know, is one of the tactics against the black man, you know. It is what it is, man. It's like, how can you, if the shit was on tape, you know what I mean? It's like, we are looking at this shit, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, they talked about the illegal chokehold. They don't teach that. They're not supposed to be doing that. He comes with the illegal chokehold, choking them out. I mean, come on, man. It's like, it's a joke, man. And so we got to understand that this is going to continue to happen. We're going to continue to be choked out, shot up, getting our ass kicked, pummeled. All this shit is going to happen unless we stand together and push forward an economy, raise our children to have a black mind frame, get into these laws, get into politics, and, you know, and just push the black race forward. This is going to continue to happen. It's the same old story. You know, 2 years later, and they still trying to decide on something that was on tape. You know, so it's crazy. We don't have no representation. Prosecutors don't care about us. You know, you got one person fighting a system. You know what I mean? Like for 2 years. You know, so you know, we just gotta know that we at war with these types, and these are the results of. You know, these are the injustices that we're gonna get on a day-to-day basis. Gotta smarten up, man.
Yeah, but definitely. I mean, common sense. We live in a capitalistic society. Capitalism. That's money. That's economic. That's business. Trade. Investing. Innovation. Capitalism is not sitting on your ass, asking for a job, asking to be fair and treated. You know, none of that means nothing, man. We got to get back to the part of being black, just like I keep saying in our previous shows, with a black man who stands up and hold his nuts, walk with his head up high. You see what I'm saying? Not the man that have to beg somebody for work. We are the brightest, most creative people on the planet. We keep allowing somebody else to tell us that we're not important. When everybody else look at us Like, we can't do shit without y'all. You know what I'm saying? It's like being the son of a king. Everybody know who your father is but you. You don't know who your father is. But everybody else looking at you like, oh shit, you know whose son that is, right? That's such and such son. And it's like, what? But you don't know. So you walking around doing sucker shit, embarrassing shit, because you don't know that you're royal. But the good thing is, a lot of these people, a lot of black people nowadays, 2016, know. And there's a lot of black people making moves. There's a lot of black people that's not playing games. And there's a lot of black people that is using black power correctly. And you don't need 100% of us for change. You might just need that 5% with knowledge of self, who knows what it is. You might need just that 5% to sway that 85 that's deaf, blind, and dumb. The same way the 10% sway the 85 and make them do their bidding, the 5%, the righteous few who know what it is, can sway that 85 to wear dashiki, to move their money into black banks like Killer Mike, to wear their hair natural, for black men to continue raising up their children, because there's a lot of black men out raising their kids. I'm me as a father of two. I love disputing that bullshit ass myth that black men don't take care of their kids, because I'm around black men all the time who have children, and there's not one black man that I'm around who don't take care of their kids. So it's just funny when I hear people keep saying this myth, and I'm like, there's a lot of black men that's taking care of their children. So it's like we're moving on the right direction. And that's what it is. To tell you the truth, a lot of the killings is probably going on because if you remember what was said about Barack, wasn't his policy, wasn't really what he was going to do for black people. The number one thing that was said about Barack being president of the United States was he would be an image to black boys and black people, that they can achieve whatever they want. An image. That's the image for the 85. Because if you the type of person that raise your children up, and you the type of person that instill values and structure within your child because you want your child to be what you want your child to be, then you're probably scratching your head like, Barack ain't no damn image to my son that he could be whatever he want to be. I always raised my son that he could be whatever he want to be. That wasn't for you. That was for the 85. The blind, deaf, and dumb. That was for them. So as you get this image, you got to also give it an image of white people killing black men, so we can show you, yeah, you can reach whatever levels you want to, but also understand we will murder you also. That was the counter image that was given to us. during Barack Obama's presidency. But the other image that came up was the image of revolution. So when you mix abilities of freedom in the same pot as no hope and powerlessness, freedom and powerlessness will cause an explosion. And that, my friend, is what we learned during Barack's presidency. Because with the illusion of freedom that black people had and the fear of being executed by police in this white system, it caused an explosion. It always caused an explosion. The good thing is that this explosion was peaceful protest. It was highways being blocked off, disrupting the economics of the country. It was 5 cops getting shot in Dallas. It was Buy Black programs. It was Black Unity. It was black money going into black banks. So a lot of different things came from these events. And the reason why I say that, and other things that happen also that I didn't mention, is because a lot of times we see these things and we individualize it, and we'll say, well, the dude, Micah Johnson, he shot those cops. He ain't no hero. He was a coward, and that's you individualizing it. No, Micah Johnson is all the energy that's out here. It's called cause and effect. He's the energy that's out here. Micah Johnson shooting 5 cops is no different than us pulling our money out of white banks to black banks, which is no different than us supporting black-owned businesses, which is no different than us going back to promoting black unity. It's all an act to stand up against white supremacy, oppression, and being subjugated to the country as second-class citizens. So let me say, also hit my note.
I'm in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
So you want to start saying some closeout smoke with this 90 seconds in?
Yo, man, I mean, you summed it up nicely, but, we just need to get on our grizzly and stay on it, man. But, I'm proud of the people overall. You see us mobilizing, you know what I'm saying? See the mind frame changing, even if it's just a little bit, you see it changing, you know what I'm saying? So if anything, I just want to shout out all the black people, you know what I'm saying? Anybody who just had black power on their mind, who had change on their mind, you know what I'm saying? Who just sick of all the bullshit going on, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to you, you know what I mean?
That's right, man, because that's how we got to do it. But I'm just glad my children is growing up in this environment. I feel like Trump is going to win. The brother, the business people, They all voting for Trump. So it's like I feel like we need to be preparing ourselves for a Trump win and not hoping for a Hillary win. And start really preparing ourselves. Because no matter which one wins, we still have to get on our grizzly. So until next time, people, Friday, 9 o'clock, in Black America Radio, yo. Peace.
I'm in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
Hey, we love Burger King grilled dogs. They're made with 100% beef, and they're 100%. They're so good they make us want to sing like, I can't believe it. Burger King made a grilled dog, made with 100% beef, flame grilled anytime you want.
July 23rd is the most important holiday of the year, National Hot Dog Day. Celebrate by going to Burger King and asking for the $1 Classic Grilled Dog deal. How else you gonna celebrate? Try the $1 Classic Grilled Dog only at Burger King. At participating restaurants, July 23rd, limit 5 per transaction while supplies last.
Sarah figured out that by switching to Metro PCS, she gets 2 free smartphones.
Your barbecue ribs are the best.
Take the rest home with you, Sarah.
Just like she figured out that by visiting her in-laws, she doesn't have to cook for the rest of the week. You too figure it out. Get 2 free 4G LTE smartphones from top brands like Samsung and LG after instant rebate when you switch. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figure it out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included. See store or metropcs.com for details and terms and conditions.